Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Wednesday Night Madness here on YouTube and StreamYard.com. It is Google MS Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Floyo and Michael Bullock. Gentlemen, we're just going to dive right on in we start out with NXT, as this will be for most of the roster the last NXT before they make it off to the main roster. Of course, as you guys know, next week is when the all of the results from the draft actually goes into full effect, and we had some newsworthy stuff to talk about. So we start out with Wesley putting the North American title on the line against Drew Gulak. Wesley winning the match in 5 minutes and 22 seconds. All right, a little disappointed with this match. It was a little short for my liking. 5:22 was a fair amount of time, and it was a good fight. But I wish they gave us more time here. I know they're trying to fill a lot because of the fact that, there was a lot to talk about on NXT tonight. But this is one that deserved a little more time. Gulak is a really good wrestler. Wesley is a really good wrestler. I think they should have given more time here. I'm a little disappointed. Even though it was a fun little sprint, I can only give this about maybe 2.5 stars. Could have been a lot more better in certain elements, but it was too short for my liking, and that's a major problem here. Anthony Florio, it is yours.
100% agree. This was a surprisingly short match for the build and talent involved. Wesley has been a great champion so far, but not every defense is going to be a classic. It's just a shame because more was promised than delivered. Gulak has yet to meet his potential in NXT, though the same could be said of his whole WWE run. He needs to be treated like a serious threat to top names in order to make an impact. Dempsey grabbed Lee on his way back to the ring, and Bate made him pay for it by laying him out on the floor. And after the match, Bate was clearly keeping two eyes glued on the title. Could you imagine a Wes Lee, Tyler Bate, North American Championship match down the road? Show stealer, match of the year candidate, no doubt about it. So we'll keep an eye on that. But for right now, a match that had a lot of potential going in, but ended up being a little underwhelming, even though it was we can only give it fun little sprint here. 2.5 stars, that's the best we can do. So not much more to say on that. So Michael Bullock, Wes Lee continues his run, but it looks like Tyler Bate has his eyes on the prize. And if those two square off, banger.
Oh yeah, that'll definitely be a banger if these two end up facing up for the North American title. I mean, but yeah, as far as this match goes, this was just major disappointing here. I mean, I was expecting so much with when you got Wesley and Drew Gulak, but for it to only get 5:22, it just left a bitter taste in my mouth. It was a fun sprint, but I can only give it 2.5 stars as well. I mean, this was just. I mean, I was expecting so much more out of this. I mean, but as you said, not every Wesley match is going to be a classic. So we'll wait and see what happens especially with Tyler Bate looking like having his eyes on the prize. So nothing more to say. Let's move on, Fletch.
Oh, all right. You kind of cut it there off, but I don't know if that was supposed to happen or not. But all right. Anyway, Gigi Dolan versus JC Jane. It was JC Jane winning the match in 3 minutes and 20 seconds. And boys, we had blood in this fight. I don't think it was supposed to happen, but JC got busted open. Crimson Mask. Oh my goodness, Anthony Floyo. Either that was a botch or something, but the blood added a little extra element to this fight.
Yeah. I got to be honest. These two women have struggled since their breakup. They are not good opponents for one another. On top of limited chemistry, JC Jane has been hurt every time they fight. The one positive is that JC Jane looked like a formidable heel. beating down and humiliating her former friend while sporting a bloody face. Now that the series is tied, hopefully the two can find a way to raise their game for a final match. Maybe at the Battleground, I don't know.
Possibly.
Gigi Dolan's brother Miles was in the front row and supported her throughout. JC Jane mocked him after her win. Two women battled to the outside where Dolan knocked her rival into the barricade and steps. JC Jane got busted open. After the win, JC Jane continued to beat down Gigi Dolan until officials broke it up. I can only give it 1 to 1.5 for the effort, but I'm hopeful that we'll get that big match that they're capable of. But it's just not doing it for me right now. So 1.5 for me. So Michael Bullock, it's yours. And I think the bloody thing was that might have been a botch. So let's go.
Yeah, I think the blood was more of a botch there, but I'm with Florio. I can only give this 1 star. I'm going to be quite honest, guys. This rivalry hasn't done anything for me. I mean, ever since the breakup, we were expecting something out of this, but I'm sorry. This rivalry has just been utterly disappointing, and maybe breaking them up was probably not the right thing to do because, look at what we're seeing. Yeah, they did have some good matches, but other than that, this has just been, I'm sorry to say it, this rivalry has been disappointing. I'm just being brutally honest. So 1 star for me. It's yours, Fletch.
I think WWE took a chance on it and it backfired. This is one of those times where some people were kind of hoping for something good out of it, but let's be realistic. It kind of was doomed the minute they lost Mandy Rose. And I'm even going to go as far back to that because of the fact that when Mandy got let go by WWE, and then they decided to pull the trigger on this breakup of Toxic Attraction, it kind of was like, all right, let's see how it goes. But it hasn't transpired. And the thing is, it's not JC Jane's fault. It's not Gigi Dolan's fault. It's just that, A, there's been injuries. And 2, I don't think the creative has really worked. And that, I gotta call out Sean, Hunter, and all the guys because they're the ones that's running NXT right now. And if you can't give them any quality stuff here, what is there to do? What can you do? So I think you're right, guys. I think they should have done something maybe in the way of reuniting the two. Because when they were Toxic Attraction together, they were amazing. They were perfect. That it's almost like, and I might even go as far to say this. This might be another Iconics. And you know where I'm going with that. They made a horrendous mistake breaking these two up when they were the most over tag team in WWE. And now, here we go again with maybe another failed breakup where neither one has benefited from this breakup. So,
and let's not forget another thing, Fletch. Gigi Dolan and JC Jane, they were once in the WWE Women's Tag Team title tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, just think what they could have done with that if somehow they did win the tournament.
Well,
but I guess now this goes into the what if files. What if they had won that tournament? Now we'll never know. So yeah, WWE took a chance, and let's just say they ended up with egg on their face.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right, Bullock. I'm not gonna disagree with that. You pretty much nailed it. And they were going for the belts. They were going for the opportunity. Maybe maybe WWE is like, you know what? We got to get these two back together. I think Hunter realizes it, and I feel like Sean also does too. But the thing is, they got to finish out this storyline. Maybe they'll work it together, and then maybe carve it back around because you know how WWE is. Sometimes they take an opportunity on something, it doesn't work out, and then they come back later on and bring this back together. It's like it's like the Jinder Mahal with Invashir. They had them on their own. It didn't work. They brought them back, and now Indashir is on their way to the main roster. Of course, maybe that might work out. We don't know. Right now, it's not working on either side. I think it's time for them to kind of think about reuniting them. But we'll get there at some point. Axiom goes one-on-one with Script. Axiom winning the match in 4 minutes and 16 seconds. But then, the match ended, and then Script tried to get a little bit of tries to get a sheep shot on Axiom. That didn't work. Axiom took him down, and then ripped off Script's mask. And yeah, Scripts lost his mask, got ripped. It wasn't a mask versus mask. And the thing is, unlike how I normally am about the Mexican thing and how it's no, this time around, maybe it was good that Script lost his mask, because finally maybe we know who was under the mask the whole time. It's Reggie. Maybe this is their way of telling us that we're getting Reggie back. And let me tell you, if we get Reggie back, it's probably better for him to be himself again and not be Script, because that Script experiment failed badly. Nobody cared. Nobody wanted it. But the minute he lost that mask and you heard the crowd yelling, Reggie, 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 I think NXT might have found a diamond in the rough. Personal thoughts. Don't know. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'll give this about another 1 star here. I mean, this was another really short match. I mean, it was fine, but it just didn't do much for me either. I mean, yeah, like you said, Fletch. Normally we would be all over. We would be all over WWE when it comes to the mask and all that, but this time around, I think we can all agree we don't have to get upset with this one. This one here we don't, because we know that it was Reggie underneath there. Now it's different when it comes to the mask of especially someone like Rey Mysterio or any Lucha Libre wrestler, because Fletch, as you know, as being the guy that knows everything about Lucha Libre wrestling and how sacred that mask is, when you take that off, that's when everybody gets pissed off, because it's part of what Lucha Libre is when it comes to the mask. So yeah, I mean, I think we're definitely getting Reggie back. I mean, I'm just going to be interested to see how they do it. So yeah, so there's really nothing more for me to say except, and it is official, boys. The Boston Celtics.
Whoa! Stop! Don't. We'll cover it later.
Okay.
All right. I wanted to stop you before you went there.
I think this is where I have to shut up right now. So, all right. So it's yours, Fletch.
We'll get into it. Trust me. We do have the Celtics chat here tonight, folks. Don't worry. I know Bullock kind of got excited. He wanted to say it. I don't want him. Not yet. We'll get there. Just chill. 1 star for the match. Yes, normally I would be that lucha libre guy, and I would go off about the mask being about somebody being unveiled or revealed in the mask. But this is one of those fair times where it was a fair game moment. You know, if it was Axiom that lost his mask, I'd be flipping out because it was script. Even though we know who it is under the mask, and the way the crowd reacted and everything else, I feel like this is better that he did lose his mask because of the fact that, like I said, the script gimmick did not work. It doesn't work. I liked Reggie. Hell, I'll even say it, as horrible as that storyline was, I'm gonna say it. He was better when he was fighting for the 24/7 title, when he was in that storyline with Dana Brooke, with Tamina, with Kira Tozawa, with R-Truth, all that stuff. It was somewhat enjoyable. And it made Reggie human. And it made him, what it was. So, as much as I know a lot of people hated that storyline, that was the only good thing that Reggie had at that time in WWE. So, you had that. They brought him to NXT, they made him into script, all right, but there wasn't anything relevant or good or amazing. There was nothing that really stood out for me when we're talking about script. Maybe this might be the start of something better for him as Reggie again in NXT. I feel like he's better off as Reggie. So I got nothing more to say. 1 star, Florio, go.
All right. Yeah. My bad on the other thing there. That got Bullock a little excited there. That's on me. So, all right. There was no drama here, but the two men maximized.
No, Florio, that's more on me. I'm the one who got excited, so I'm the one who should take responsibility for it.
Well, we both should. But anyways, there was no drama here. But the two men maximized their minutes. The former Reggie on the main roster showed out with an athletic display. The timing between these two in the ring was impressive. Hopefully, Scripps will put the mask away and we can get to see more of his work beyond the ridiculous gimmick. Axiom needed to win, though, as he has a championship future rapidly approaching. I'm going to be a little more generous on this one. I'm going to give this 2.5. This was a fun little sprint. Scripps started out fast, attacking Axiom, including hitting him with a running forearm off the announce table. Scripps taunted Axiom, which motivated the superhero to fight back. And after the match, the superhero extended a hand to his opponent. Instead, Scripps tried to cheap shot him. In retaliation, Axiom ripped off his mask. So there you have it. 2.5 stars, fun little sprint. Reggie obviously on his way, but the Reggie character could be on his way back, and we'll wait and see what happens from there. But for right now, you guys underscored this one. This was a 2.5, fun little sprint. MF go.
All right, whatever. Next up we had was JD McDonough versus Dragon Lee. JD McDonough winning in 15 minutes. All right, that's it. It's done. Fight of the night. This is what we were waiting for. NXT TakeOver level fight. This is exactly what we needed. The shot in the arm on the show. It was dragging. It was boring. It was going into a level of worst NXT of the year. And then this fight happened and woke me the F up. This was exactly what it needed it to be. 4 stars for me on this one. Fight of the night. No arguments. Florio, go.
4 to 4.25 stars. This was an unreal match. It was nearly at the same level as the Fatal 5 match at Stand and Deliver that nearly stole WrestleMania weekend. Both men clearly have chemistry to spare that should be revisited one day soon. No surprise about McDonough getting the win here. You want to give him all the momentum going into Monday Night Raw. Even if it wasn't clean, losses like that for Dragon Lee don't take away from the Luchador's mystique. However, I believe big things are coming from the Necessary Evil on Raw. He's genuinely the best in-ring competitor drafted from NXT and just needs a little help with his character work to become the complete package. Noam Dar asked JD McDonough to hurt Dragon Lee on his way out. Instead, the Necessary Evil warned that he might take the Heritage Cup to Raw. And then Noam Dar brought the trophy to ringside to keep an eye on it. The Necessary Evil began untying Lee's mask while on the top rope, but the Luchador knocked him to the floor for it. Dragon caught McDonough with a poison Rana, but the Necessary Evil answered back with an impactful clothesline. Dar was the only one not impressed in the arena. McDonough nearly took the win off a top rope Spanish fly and brainbuster. Lee then reversed the Devil Inside into a Canadian Destroyer. Fantastic match. 4 to 4 1/4 stars. I couldn't be any happier to have JD McDonough on Monday Night Raw. He's one of my favorite types of wrestlers. And MF, you know this better than anybody. Thinking man's wrestler. You know how much I love thinking man's wrestlers. And this is definitely one. And I even heard a rumor about one dirt sheet thought about a possibility of JD McDonough possibly joining the Judgment Day, which would be very interesting. I mean, you would have a fourth guy in there to balance out the LWO. So we'll have to wait and see if that happens. But JD McDonough on the main roster, that is going to be hella fun. And I believe within the next couple of years, he's going to be a future world heavyweight champion. I believe it. He's got the look. He's got the talent. And boy, howdy, I see big time things for JD McDonough on Team Red. And I am beyond excited for it. And I cannot wait to see him on Monday nights, hopefully starting this Monday night. So not much more to say here. 4 to 4 1/4 stars. Fight of the night. Michael Bullock. You're losing yourself one hell of a thinking man's wrestler. But boy, howdy, Monday Night Raw, we're going to have some fun with him, no doubt.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what a way for JD McDonough to go out and with a match like this. 4 stars. I mean, fight of the night. I mean, this saved NXT from being a complete and utter train wreck. I mean, this was on its way to being one of the worst NXTs of the year, but this here saved it. And I'm telling you, Florio, you're getting one hell of a guy in JD McDonough on Monday Night Raw. I mean, just think of some of the matches that he could have. I mean, and one match that literally comes to my mind, and I already talked to you about this, Florio, and Fletch, you're hearing of it. Remember another guy who got drafted to Raw, Drew McIntyre. Can you imagine Drew McIntyre and JD McDonough? Man, now that would be a banger of a match between those two. So we'll see what they have in store for JD McDonough on Raw. So 4 stars, nothing more to say. Let's move on.
All right. With that said, we do indeed move on. Next up we had was Joe Gacy versus Joe Coffey, and it was Joe Gacy winning the match in 3 minutes and 22 seconds. We don't really need to talk about this one. So Paxley, Danny Palmer winning the match in 3 minutes and 58 seconds. Not really too much. Then we had, I want to get into this. And I know a lot of people's like, oh, what is this? Robert Stone and Von Wagner. Now, Robert Stone and Von Wagner, they were going through a photo album. And, Wagner was talking about how his family or was wrestling in Willie Steele for the WIP Championship. And, he thought, but then there was one thing that Wagner kind of hid. And that was a baby photo. And you notice he had something happened. And he had like a cast. It looked like he had some surgery done because you saw major stitches, and Wagner kind of shutted Robert Stone off and everything else. He's shutting him off. He's like, that's all you're going to get for this week. I'm compelled. That photo of the baby almost ripped my heart out because this was a little too personal for me. This hit a little too close to home for me and for my family, because when I was younger, I had seizures, I had birth defects, I had major issues, I had major problems. I had a doctor telling my parents that I wasn't supposed to make it to the age of 5. I wonder what that family must have gone through those birth defects or whatever issue Von Wagner had, because what I saw hit me like a pile of bricks. Like it dredged up memories that even I would have held. I would not have even opened up about. So I'm intrigued on the Von Wagner story. I wasn't at first, but now I'm actually rooting for the guy more than I ever thought. So I don't know how you guys felt about it, but when I saw that, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, hold on. This is more than what meets the eye. And now I want to know more. I want to know about that Von Wagner story. I want to know, because if Robert Stone can peel that out, maybe we might be having a change. Maybe this sympathetic figure could turn into a baby face. Maybe a role reverse might be what Wagner might need. Because Robert Stone, he went from being, now he wanted it to know more about the story. I think Robert Stone might be exactly what Von Wagner needs. Because if he can tell that story about his life, go into deeper details about that, especially after what we just saw with those baby photos, there has to be something there. I want to know now. Guys, it's yours if you guys want to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely, Emmett. This absolutely does need to be addressed, and you're absolutely 100% correct. I doubted you were going to bypass this, but now that you brought it up, I'm glad that you did, because I mean, when I was younger, I had issues too. I had tubes put in my ears, for goodness sakes, when I was a little boy, when I was about 2 years old. I can relate to the issue as well, MF. You're absolutely right. And it's a very compelling story, and we definitely need to get in depth with this. And, this is close to home stuff. And, when I saw that, it conjured up all those issues I had when I was little. Just like it conjured up those nightmares for you, MF. I mean, but yet, we have to wait and see what happens with it. If you want to get Von Wagner over, as a sympathetic babyface, this is the perfect way to do it. And if there's one thing, if you want to talk about what is the most compelling story in NXT, we found it. This is now the most compelling story in NXT, and I want to know more. I want to know. I want to know what's next. So we've started a story, and this is a story that I want to see from start to finish. And MF, I am so glad that you brought this up, because if you didn't, I was. So I'm glad you brought it up. So I appreciate you doing that. So, because I know how you feel. I'm right there with you. So So hey, Von Wagner, we wish you the best of luck, bud. We're gonna be tuning into your story. There's no doubt about it. I can't wait to see it from start to finish. So, so there isn't much more to say. Michael Bullock, let's get your thoughts on this.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, this, like you said, I mean, it was interesting to hear something about that. I mean, with Von Wagner. I mean, now I kind of want to pull for the guy. I mean, and I really want to know what's going on with this. And you know what? I'm very thankful. I never I've never gone through something like that. But yeah, I mean, like you guys said, this is going to be an interesting story to watch. So I think you guys pretty much touched on everything. So let's just move on.
All right. So with that said, then the next thing that we had on the show, guys, this was it. This was the moment. This was the tag team titles in 9 minutes and 12 seconds. And as a matter of fact, they dropped a major bomb right after, before this fight, saying that because of the fact that Alba Fire and Isla Dawn successfully defended the title, this is the second pair of tag team titles. But here's the thing. These belts can now be defended on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. That's why the belts never got taken away from them, because just like the WWE Women's Tag Team titles is exclusive to Raw and SmackDown, they're going to make the two belts, the two women's titles, the women's tag team titles, exclusive to all three brands, which means we could have, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. They could always come back to NXT anytime they want. They could go off to Monday Night Raw. They can remain on SmackDown, but that also opens the door for Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan to do the very same thing now. So this was a humongous announcement made. And Anthony Flair, I give it to you. That now opens the door for every women's Raw tag team, every women's SmackDown tag team, and of course the tag teams in NXT. Basically, it's open hunt season on now 2 tag team titles.
Well, you've got two tag titles now. I mean, it's obvious that the WWE Women's Tag Team titles will be exclusive to Raw, and perhaps these tag team titles are going to be exclusive to SmackDown since Fire and Dawn hold them. So, 3.25 stars. Worthy send off to the two best women's tag teams in NXT. It was physical and got so intense that Katana Chance was bloodied near the end. The right team won, though the future of the NXT women's tag team division is hard to predict. Chance and Carter will shock many on the main roster due to their synergy, which is something that is rarely seen in the women's tag team division. Fire and Dawn, meanwhile, bring veteran experience and great character work to an underused division. These two teams can revitalize the main roster women's tag team division. Matches like this are only the tip of the iceberg. In fact, since Raw and SmackDown will now both have women's tag titles, maybe WWE has big ideas for the division. I hope so. Fire and Dawn promised to solidify their reign by defeating NXT's most dominant women's tag team champions. Chance and Carter promised to go out on a high note. Fire and Dawn started the fight early, attacking their challengers before the bell. The champions nearly won off a backstabber senton bomb combination, where Carter broke it up by tackling Fire into the pin. The challengers nearly took the win off their signature 450 splash neckbreaker combo, but Fire broke up the pin. Chance and Carter hit a double diving Spanish fly on Fire, but she kicked out. very good match here. Second best fight of the night. 3.25, teetering on 3.5 for it. So there isn't much more to say. Michael Bullock, you've lost your two best women's tag teams in NXT, but I believe they're going to bring a revitalization to both tag team divisions. Chance and Carter on Raw and Fire and Dawn to SmackDown.
Now wait, hold we say anything, because that doesn't necessarily. I disagree with that. Bullock, you can stay here. You can come back on. Come back on, Mike.
Yeah, come on back in, both. We got you. So
unless someone interrupted him, but that's all right. But I was gonna say that Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, even though they have the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, that does not necessarily mean they're exclusive to SmackDown. No, they are. They're officially got drafted to SmackDown, but they got to come back to NXT to defend those titles. So it's not like they're done with NXT. They're not. No. They had to keep those belts. So if you're NXT, you still got the tag titles. Your division still has your champions. It's just that, yes, it's going to be competing on SmackDown, but it opens the door for any team to jump in and say, hey, I want a shot at these tag team belts. Isla Dawn and Alba Fire must answer that call. So, Bullock, yeah, it's yours, man.
Bullock, are you there? Oh, maybe he did have to step away. Maybe he did.
He must have. Okay. Look, then I'll take it for a spin for a moment.
No, we got him.
All right, go ahead, Bullock.
Yeah, 3.25 stars. For this match. I mean, yeah, I cannot wait to see what these two are going to bring, especially with Katana Chance and Kaden Carter on Monday Night Raw, and of course the current champs, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn on SmackDown. And yeah, like you said, they're going to defend the titles not only on SmackDown, but also, like you said, with going back to NXT or maybe even invading Monday Night Raw. So I'm interested to see what happens with this. So there's really nothing more to say. Now it's your split.
And I think that's the best thing to say, is that because of the fact, and they even hinted that these belts are going to be competed on SmackDown. They will be competed on NXT. So it's not like, oh, we just lost. No, we didn't lose nothing. They just picked it up right where they left off. So I'm excited. I'm thrilled that they're doing this, because at least for Michael Bullock, this will ease his mind, because I think he was freaking out. Oh my God, what happens to the NXT tag team titles now? What happens to the women's title? Well, we'll get into the women's title in just a matter of moments, because the main event segment that we did have, and yeah, she talked about finding her way, through the success of her, through having Johnny, Candace, having Austin, Sexy Dexy, Dexter Lumis, her husband. And she made it abundantly clear that, now that she's heading off to Raw, that she wants to leave the legacy for the next, champion, whoever that may be. She has officially relinquished the NXT women's title. It will be put up in a tournament, and the winner of that tournament at the Roadblock in Lowell, Massachusetts, will become the next undisputed NXT women's champion. Heartbreaking announcement, but this was necessary. Obviously, with Indy heading off to Monday Night Raw, they had to make this decision. They had to do this. Um, poor Amy Hartwell also suffering an injury in her triple threat fight a week ago. We're like, oh man, she even said, she's like, all right, well, that's great, but now I got to figure out how the hell I'm going to get out of this ring. Cue Dexter Loomis. How the hell did he show up in that building? What? He was under the ring the whole goddamn time? Are you kidding me? Dexter comes out, helps Indy, carries her off. Well, oddly enough, is carrying her off to Monday Night Raw. Good luck, Florio, with that one. And of course, you had that moment, and even the commentary was saying it. Somewhere, Beth Phoenix is probably beside herself, probably in tears because of her beloved Index. She loved them. And I was gonna say, if they ever had Index babies, man, and I know in real life that's probably never gonna happen, but if they actually legitly did, I think Beth Phoenix would be poised to be the godmother of the Index family. However, there also could be Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. I think you could also make them godparents as well. Anyway, but Anthony Florio, I'll give it to you. A very sad goodbye for Indy Hartwell. However, it's not a goodbye. It's a we'll see you soon. We're going to see her on Monday Night Raw. But obviously, she's got to deal with that ankle injury. She still is in that foot cast, that air cast. So she might not be in the ring right away.
No, but it was nice to see Indy wrestling one last time in NXT. She has been an integral part of the brand over the last couple of years, and she will be missed. This was a nice moment to end the show, even if the brawl afterward was corny. It's good to put the spotlight on the women's roster with this tournament. No matter who wins, it can be a big moment for a rising star. Best bet right now is either Cora Jade or Tiffany Stratton. But Roxanne Perez could also reclaim her spot at the top after she was surprisingly undrafted. And that's really all there is to come out of this. No word on the tournament's obviously going to start on the next show. We don't know how many women are going to be involved in it, but I believe I heard the final is scheduled for the Battleground event on Memorial Day weekend.
Yes, it's going to be in Lowell, Massachusetts. Yes.
Okay, so that's confirmed. So we've got two big tournaments now. We got the tournament that's going to determine the inaugural World Heavyweight Champion on Raw. That will conclude at Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia, and then the day after, Lowell, Mass, the NXT Women's Tournament concludes with a brand new NXT Women's Champion. Who that will be, we don't know yet. But like I said, it's either Cora Jade, Tiffany Stratton, or Roxanne Perez. It's one of those three. There is no doubt about it. So a nice farewell for Indy. Dexter carries her away, only fitting because the entire way is on Monday Night Raw, so they could have that reuniting of the way if they want to. So we'll see what happens with it. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, your women's champion, now going to Raw. She relinquishes the belt after a 31-day title reign, and now we got a tournament. And that tournament will conclude at Battleground at the Songus Arena in Lowell, Memorial Day weekend. Like I said, it's either Cora Jade, Tiffany Stratton, or Roxanne Perez, who I believe is going to come away with it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this was it was sad for everyone to see Indy Hartwell say goodbye. I mean, after 31 days as the NXT Women's Champion. But now she gets to live her dream. Not right away because she's still dealing with that injury. But this is going to be an exciting opportunity for her to be on Monday Night Raw and reuniting with The Way. And now with a tournament to determine the new NXT Women's Champion. As much as I want to see Roxanne Perez win it, I have to beg to differ. I think it's going to come down to the two that were literally fighting over it. And that's Tiffany Stratton and Cora Jade. I mean, look, Cora Jade, she's been relishing at this opportunity to become the champion, while Tiffany Stratton is showing why she deserves an opportunity to hold the title. So we'll see what happens as this tournament goes on. So there's really nothing more to say. It's yours, Fletch.
Absolutely. This is going to be very interesting to see. Look, it was a great promo by Indy Hartwell, just thanking the fans, for everybody who believed in her and everything else, which I thought was really awesome. I wish her nothing but the best. It's going to be a great run for her, and I do believe she will do very well on the main roster. So, with that said, it's time to go into the overall review. Michael Bullock, not the greatest show. However, it wasn't a disaster because, like we said, the JD McDonough fight really saved it. The women's tag team title match was amazing, and then you had the nice little send off for Indy Hartwell, which was, I thought, it made it a little more enjoyable than what we were going through early in the evening.
Yeah, those three things I think really saved the show from being a complete and utter train wreck. Uh, I'll give this about maybe 5 to 5.5. I mean, if it were for those three, I really would have gone lower than that. But 5.5 for me. It's your Sledge.
Agreed, about 5.5. Could have been a lot more better. Like I said, it was almost train wreck level at the very beginning, but they did bounce it back. They did turn it back around. They actually delivered in certain areas, certain elements. It was a lot more better. So yeah, it was fun for what it was worth. Anthony Florio, it's yours.
And one thing that we forgot to mention was that match with Joe Gacy and Joe Coffey. Joe Gacy winning, it earned the Dyad a tag team title opportunity, and the Dyad will challenge the Gallus Boys for the NXT Tag Team Championship next week. So big stakes in that one. But nonetheless, it's a 5 to 5.5. I agree. JD McDonough and Dragon Lee saved the show. The women's tag team title match also in there, and then that nice send off for Indy. So a 5 to 5.5 for this, and now it's on to Baltimore for another edition of AEW Dynamite as we get closer to Double or Nothing.
Yes, we do. And we started it off with a 8-man tag team fight, as it was Orange Cassidy, Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, and Bandito. They went up against Daniel Garcia, Jake Hager, Matt Menard, and Angelo Parker. And it was the face team winning the match in 14 minutes and 15 seconds. Solid opener, 3.5 to 4 stars is my rating. It was a good matchup. And Chris Jericho getting nuclear heat and really getting under the skin of Adam Cole with a photo, with a t-shirt of a battered Britt Baker. You noticed the where she had the black eye, basically from the beatdown from the Outcast, and that shirt is all over the internet right now, and I think it's on AEW Shop. And let me tell you, it's caused a stir on the internet. A lot of fans are not happy about this shirt. Some think it's very offensive. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know if AEW should be profiting off this shirt. I'm just saying. I think it's kind of poor taste in AEW, But again,
it's downright offensive. Yeah. Because here's the thing, Fletch. I mean, what do you see in that picture? What does it remind you of when you see a woman with a black eye and all that?
I know where you're going. I don't want to say it though.
Well, I'm going to say it because it's something that I can't stand. Domestic violence.
Okay.
Because you know where I stand with this.
Oh yeah.
I hate it. I mean, and we have a saying here, everyone. Any man that lays a hand on a woman, especially a husband laying a hand on his wife, you're not a man. You're an absolute monster. I mean, I would never do anything like that, especially with my girlfriend. Or, if anybody would ever do, nobody should ever do something like that. If you do, you shouldn't even be living on this earth. I mean, stuff like that really pisses the living daylights out of me. And AEW, as far as I'm concerned, should be ashamed of themselves for profiting off of something like this. That's just where I stand with this. And I'm sorry to say this, Tony Khan, you should be ashamed of yourself for doing something like this. That's not, I don't know if he's trying to promote. I don't know.
It was controversial, and a lot of people were adamant about it. However, here's the thing, and I know where you're coming from, Michael Bullock, but it wasn't any man that did this to Britt Baker. Remember, this was done.
I get that point.
Wait. Hold on. But this was perpetrated by Tony Storm, by Saraya, by Ruby Soho. Now, what I'm saying is that it does not condone the shirt. The shirt is not condoned. And I'm not saying it. But I'm just saying in this instant, it was the women harming Britt Baker. This was the aftermath or the after effects of that beatdown. Now, and I get it. And I know a lot of people were talking about that too. And they were going with that domestic violence. They went down that road. That's why I didn't want to touch this. Because it is a very, very, very sensitive subject. And on top of that, it is something that all three of us basically we do not condone this. So yeah, I get it. So I don't know. Like I said, when this shirt came out, you saw the look on Adam Cole's face. He was pissed.
He wanted to tear Chris Jericho apart.
Yeah. So, and the thing is, it wasn't just coming from us. A lot of people were saying, I don't know if this shirt should be out. I don't know if this shirt should be circulated. Now, if they're doing it for their own, just to get the nuclear heat, fine, do it. But I hope this shirt never sees the light of like manufacturing and to be promoted on the AEW website. I don't know if it is or not. I hope not. I hope it's not even on Pro Wrestling Tees. That's all I'm just saying. But yeah, this started up a hornet's nest more than anything else. So, like I said, it was a great start to the show. Anthony, did you give me your thoughts about the match?
No, I haven't.
All right, then I'll give it to you then.
All right. The match was predictably action-packed, with it gradually building before crescendoing with utter chaos in the final minutes. Ultimately, and also predictably, Adam Cole scored the win for his team and immediately achieved a measure of revenge on Chris Jericho by attacking the Ocho on the stage. Match was good fun with solid work from Orange Cassidy and a fine introduction to Roderick Strong's style for those unfamiliar with it. It produced the latest in the Cole Jericho feud. Considering that the one-on-one match figures to be one of the marquee bouts of Double or Nothing, it was the right call to spotlight it, and this managed to do so without overexposing them. This was a 3.5 star match. Chris Jericho entered the arena wearing the new Britt Baker t-shirt. That was the topic of discussion across social media this week. Interested in a closer look at the night's opening bout. And Jericho taunted Adam Cole on the headset by criticizing him for not protecting Britt Baker 2 weeks ago, and in great heel fashion, ignored the fact that he had handcuffed his budding rival to the ropes. The look of disgust on Daniel Garcia's face as Cassidy unleashed his uninspired offense was fantastic. Cole lowered the boom on Parker for the win. Jericho on commentary and staring right in the monitor somehow missed Cole rushing the stage directly toward him. Cole tackled him through part of the staging and hammered away at the former world champion. Very good stuff to start it off. 3.5 to 4. And yeah, and something did come out of this. Next Wednesday night on Dynamite at the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan, Orange Cassidy will be defending the international championship against Daniel Garcia. So you already know what that means. You know what that means when it comes to Orange Cassidy, and because every time he defends that title, you know a banger type match is coming out of it. So
this might be a major threat too, because Daniel Garcia is no slouch, man. Daniel Garcia, I mean, if there's one guy who could take that belt off of Orange Cassidy, this might be the one. I'm not calling for a new champion, but he is definitely a major threat.
Daniel Garcia, former Ring of Honor pure champion. So let's not forget that. But anyways, 3.5 to 4. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. So with that, let's continue on, gentlemen. Or Michael Bullock, did you?
Bullock, quick thought.
Yeah, 3.5 stars is my rating for the match. I mean, I already gave my thoughts on the whole Britt Baker shirt thing. There's really nothing more for me to add on to it. So you guys pretty much touched on the match. So let's move on.
All right, with that, we do indeed move on. The next thing that we did have on the show, guys, was Saraya going up against Willow Nightingale. Saraya winning the match in 6 minutes and 35 seconds. It looked like they were about to do a beatdown, and then another of the legendary women of AEW makes her return. Hikaru Shida, welcome back. Anthony, it's yours.
Business has picked up in this rivalry. There is no question about it. And this feud's not for everybody. I'll be honest with you. Some are saying that this feud desperately needs to conclude, and with the arrival of the criminally underrated and oftentimes undervalued Hikaru Shida, it at least appears as though there is an endgame in sight. Expect the former women's champion to team with Hayter and Baker to battle the Outcasts or Double or Nothing, presumably in some sort of gimmick bout. Once it wraps up, it's time to move on from the feud. Overbooking by way of the heel interference hampered the match's ability to be good, with too much focus paid to the antics and less to the actual in-ring action. Yes, it was intended to make fans hate the Outcasts, but this far into the program, it's clear that they're the villains, so that was only further hammering home a point that has been made over and over again. Soho and Storm attacked Nightingale behind the official's back as Saraya expertly distracted him. Nightingale delivered a Death Valley driver, but Storm provided a distraction that kept the official from making the count. She responded with a pounce to Soho, but it opened up an opportunity for Saraya to deliver the good night for the tainted win. 2.5 stars, that's the best I can give it. But Shida, definitely a part of team homegrown AEW here. We thought she was going to be joining the Outcast, but swerve, bro, that didn't happen. So you got Shida with Hayter and Baker going up against the Outcasts there. Do they add 1 or 2 more to this? I don't know. Or do they keep it 3 and 3? I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out. We still got, a few weeks to build this thing. So 2.5 for this. So Michael Bullock, business picks up in this feud because now Hikaru Shida has now joined up with the homegrown AEW women.
Yeah, it definitely picked up, and obviously, you could hear the nuclear heat for the Outcast too, because they were the ones that made Britt Baker who she was in that photo there. So you want to talk about Jericho getting heat? How about the Outcasts? And of course, Saraya and Toni Storm responding in typical fashion, as they always do. I'm not going to bother. I mean, you know what they do, but anyways, Hikaru Shida definitely, with joining Hayter and Baker is definitely going to add to this feud, so we'll wait and see what happens. So So there's really nothing more for me to say. It's yours, guys.
Yeah, it was fun for what it was worth. There's really nothing more for us to say on that one. All right, so indeed we will move on. Next up we had was the trios battle royale, and when it was all said and done, the winners of it was actually Anthony Bowens, and as it was Anthony Bowens and Daddy Ass Billy Gunn, they were winning it on the behalf of the Acclaim, which I guess it means that they get an opportunity at the AEW World Trios title down the line. That's what it sounded like to me, but we'll see. But Bowens, Caster, and Daddy Ass actually gets a golden opportunity, so they win it in 9:20. So, Bullock, I believe this goes to you, my friend.
Yeah, these battle royals definitely make it very tough to judge here. I mean, what to give it? So I'll give it about 2.5 for the effort here. So I'm interested to see what comes out of this. I mean, for winning this battle royal. So yeah, there's really nothing more for me to say. It's your sledge.
Yeah, 2.5. I totally agree with it. I think it's going to be very interesting to watch what they're going to do now. Um, I don't think there's much more for us to say on that. So, Florio, quick thought.
Solid 3 here for the battle royal. Yeah. Crowd popped for the individual acts, but the match itself was not nearly as hot as one would expect given the collection of wrestlers involved. That could probably be attributed to the de-emphasis on the trios titles since the Elite dropped into the House of Black, not to mention the fact that less than half of the teams involved compete together regularly. The right team went over, if for no other reason than getting the Acclaimed on the Double or Nothing card, but if there is even the slightest idea of putting them over the House of Black, it should be exorcised immediately. Julia Hart said ominously, an invite to any trio to step up and challenge the House of Black. Welcome to the open house. Powerhouse Hobbs and Lucha Bros rekindled their rivalry, and the former TNT champion put an exclamation point on his physically dominant performance by eliminating Vikingo. And Taz said of Daddy Ass as he held onto the ropes, evading elimination. That's all from that scissoring. He's got a good grip. So, yeah, so solid 3 for this. So, it's looking like it'll probably be the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass going up against House of Black at Double or Nothing for the trios titles. So that's what it looks like from here. So with that, let's move on.
Then we had the squash fight as it was Wardlow winning the match in relatively ease, no time. Then a promo by Christian Cage, basically putting over Luchasaurus as the next challenger for the titles. So that's it. Then we had, a pointless promo by Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh, and Jeff Jarrett, basically issuing the challenge for Double or Nothing for the for FTR and the World Tag Team titles, which is probably going to get answered. Then we had Ricky Starks versus Juice Robinson. Ricky Starks winning the match in 9:30. Solid match, good battle. I'm not going to say too much about it. I thought it could have been a lot more better in certain elements, but it was still a good 2.5 to 3 star fight. So Anthony, quick thought.
Yep. This was about 2.5 to 3. I agree. Give this about 3. Just give me a minute here as I find it here. All right. Well, first things first. Post-match attack by Switchblade Jay White extended the feud and pointed to an eventual showdown between Jay White and Ricky Starks, probably for Double or Nothing. While there is still plenty of issue to take with the use of Starks since what should have been a defining win over Chris Jericho at Revolution, the match with Jay White is still a fairly big deal, and if nothing else, should be damn good. The match with Juice Robinson was solid and physical, with Starks earning a quality win. That is unlikely to be the case at Double or Nothing, as White should not lose in his first pay-per-view match. A loss for Starks, though, essentially returns into the status quo that defined the period prior to the Jericho feud. Jay White entered the arena with Robinson, but opted to let Rockhard go it alone against Ricky Starks, and Jay White attacked Starks after the match. And Excalibur suggested the competitors are on a collision course. Yes, they are. So, solid 3 for this as well. So, not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, Ricky Starks defeating Juice Robinson. And now Ricky Starks looks like it's going to be him and Jay White, maybe at Double or Nothing.
Oh yeah, it definitely looks like the Ricky Starks and Jay White are on a collision course for Double or Nothing. So that should be something good. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. So 2.5 to 3. I mean, it was a good match. Definitely could have been better. So yeah, there's nothing more to say. Let's move on.
All right, and then we go into the main event of the evening. This was the tag team fight that had high implications, as it was AEW World Champion MJF, and Sammy Guevara. They went up against Darby Allin and Jungle Boy, and when it was all said and done, Darby Allin and Jungle Boy winning the match in 15 minutes and 50 seconds, which means that at Double or Nothing, it will be a 4 pillars fatal 4-way for the AEW World title, as MJF, Maxwell Jacob Freeman, will put the title on the line against Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Jungle Boy Jack Perry. We kind of voiced our displeasure about it last week. We probably don't really need to rehash that, but let's just talk about the match as the tag team match as a whole. If you guys want to talk about give your first thoughts about the Double or Nothing main event, you could, or we can just wait for the preview show, which goes down on Memorial Day weekend. So I believe this goes to Michael Bullock. So Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, 3.5 stars is my rating for this for the main event. I mean, and you know where I stand with this. I mean, it never should have came to this. They should have just made it a four pillars or fatal 4-way match right away instead of all this stuff that we had leading up to it. So, but the match was still good. I just wish it never should have came to this. So, 3.5 stars. It's yours, Fletch.
3.5, totally agreed. And I totally agree with everything you said there about that we never should have gotten to the point that we did. We kind of voiced our displeasure about a week ago, calling out AEW for it, but it is what it is. So Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, right there with you. 3.5 for this. Yes. The main event of tonight's show, like the storyline at the center of it, was clunkier than it needed to be, but ultimately benefited from the strength of the performances within. There was a good bit of overbooking throughout the bout as MJF and Sammy's egos boiled over, and Darby Allin and Jack Perry's distrust of each other reared its head. But the babyfaces ultimately did what the heels could not coexist long enough to secure the win and force a 4-way AEW World Title match at Double or Nothing. MJF was great, the master manipulator throughout most of it before his self-centeredness turned his dreams of an easy night in Vegas on May 28th into a nightmare. That match, featuring the 4 young stars around whom Tony Khan has built several top storylines since the inception of AEW in 2019, will be a defining moment for the company, and one that should confirm that he was right to do so. Earlier in the show, Guevara called out MJF for leaving him behind last week, but Foolish brought the excuse and reconciled with the champ. Backstage, before the match, MJF attempted to manipulate Jungle Boy, creating further tension between him and Darby ahead of the main event. Allen made a late blind tag to Perry, who locked MJF in the snare trap. Guevara made the save, only to be left behind during a dive as the champ refused to take the leap with him. MJF further proved his selfish tendencies by stealing a pin attempt from Guevara, who looked dismayed by the way the match was unfolding at that point. The Salt of the Earth slapped the Spanish God and ate a super kick as a result. Perry laid Guevara out, but it was Allen who made a blind tag and then scored the win with a coffin drop. 3.5 stars. Yes, it was a mess getting to it, an unnecessary mess getting into it, but we got the payoff, and the only thing that matters is that match at Double or Nothing. I believe it's going to be a show stealer. So there isn't much to say on this. 3.5. Let's get to the overall review.
All right. Overall, it was a good show. It was a 7.5. You could even make an 8 out of 10. There was some really good stuff that came out of it. Nothing too crazy, but it was good for what it was worth. So nothing more to say. Anthony, go.
What did you rate it? 7.5?
7.5 to 8.
7.5 to 8. Okay. That's about right. We did have some good action. Bookended by a very good opening match and a very good main event. Battle Royal was solid. We had one squash match, a couple of good angle advancement stuff here. So yeah, 7.5 to 8. Good show from Baltimore tonight, and next week in Detroit. Oh baby, what a night that's going to be. Daniel Garcia challenging Orange Cassidy for the international title, and Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley in a steel temper cage. Look out. And if it's anything like their past battles, you know what we're in for.
It's going to be violent. Yep.
So not much more to say. 7.5 to 8. Bullock, take this part home, and then we'll get into you. And then I know you're chomping at the bits to get into your Celtics chat tonight. Just give us your thought on this, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, 7.5 to 8. I mean, this was definitely a good show. I mean, yeah, definitely looking forward to next week with it being in Detroit. So there's really nothing more to say. So so let's move on.
All right, and we are now going to move on to the Celtics chat. Bullock, hang tight, man. We're going to get you on in just a moment. It was the Boston Celtics versus the Philadelphia 76ers, Game 2 of the Eastern Conference semifinal. Obviously, Philadelphia won the first game without Joel Embiid. This time, Embiid, newly named the most valuable player in the NBA for the 2022-2023 season, was out on the court. And this time around, Boston came to play. 121-87, a blowout at the TD Garden tonight. And it was the second half by the Boston Celtics, mainly the third quarter, where the Celtics went on a 36-15 in the third quarter. That broke the game wide open and absolutely devastated Philadelphia into submission. The overall stats, let's go into it for the Boston Celtics. Jaylen Brown leading all scorers with 25 points. Malcolm Brogdon, by the way, the sixth man of the year for the Boston Celtics, 23 points coming off the bench. Williams had 12. White had 15. Marcus Smart had 15. Jason Tatum had a bad night on the court. He had a horrible night. Only 7 points. Normally you average twice that amount. But the Celtics definitely dominated. And then for Philadelphia, Joel Embiid, they kind of limit him only to 26 minutes because he just got back from that knee injury, only scoring 15 points. And James Harden, who destroyed the Boston Celtics with 45 points in Game 1, only 12 points tonight. They shutted him out. Other than that, Tobias Harris and Maxey, 16 and 13 respectively. And on the overall stat line, look, Boston dominated almost on everything when it came to this game. They shot 46% from the field. They were gunning for three, man. They were shooting 39%, 20 of 51 from 3-point range. They were Philadelphia just was ice cold from the 3-point line, only shooting 6 of 30. Boston out rebounded them 46 to 31. Assists 26 to 13. 6 steals by the Celtics. They were tied on blocks. Philadelphia committed 11 turnovers to Boston's 6. Points in the paint was pretty tight. second chance opportunities was advantage Celtics, 21 to 14, and of course, from those 11 turnovers, the Celtics made them pay by scoring 13 points off those turnovers. Boston just absolutely dominated this. They needed this game. They got this game. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is a must-win for Boston." Well, if this was a must-win, they came and they played like it was a must-win. Absolute domination, total destruction of the Philadelphia 76ers. We have a split Friday night, Game 3 in the Philadelphia. Michael Bullock, come on in, my friend. I know you've been down in the dumps, everything else, frustrated the last few days. Celtics lose Game 1. The Bruins got knocked out. This must at least cushion the blow a little bit. The Celtics come out and just made a statement out of the Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this definitely softens the blow a little bit from what happened the last. Obviously, with the Bruins losing Game 7, and of course, the Celtics losing Game 1, and then people thought when they heard Joel Embiid was coming back that the Celtics were in trouble. They were never in trouble. They just dominated the Sixers, and the bench really came to play tonight. They had over 30 points from their bench scoring, and of course the guy that really contributed off the bench was the reigning sixth man of the year, Malcolm Brogdon, who really had a solid game. Jaylen Brown had a really good game too, and yeah, it's just so funny. Jason Tatum, he had a bad game tonight, and yet the Celtics still blew him out. Just imagine how he could be. Tatum's going to be motivated after having such a not so good performance tonight, and yeah, now both sides are even as the series shifts to Philadelphia for Game 3 Friday night. Now the Celtics need to keep this going, keep doing what they did tonight, and hopefully get a win in Philadelphia and get that home court advantage back in their favor. So there's really nothing more for me to say. A very good performance here tonight. So nothing more to say. It's yours, Fletch.
All right, Anthony, if you want to, I know you always had me come in and give a quick thought. I'd like to give you that opportunity right now. Give me a quick thought. Game 2, Boston absolutely dominates and takes out Philadelphia. We have a split as we head off as the scene now goes to Philadelphia.
It was most certainly a must-win for the Boston Celtics here tonight, and because if they had gone down again tonight and had gone back to Philly down 0-2, that would have been a tall order for them. But this was a big win for the Boston Celtics as Jaylen Brown, 25, and the Celtics rolled past Philly 121-87 tonight, spoiling the return of MVP Joel Embiid. Brogdon, 23 points, connecting on 6 of the Celtics' 23-pointers in this game. 15 each from Derek White and Marcus Smart. Jason Tatum, he played most of the game in foul trouble, was held to 7 points. Boston ratcheted up its defense and limited a Sixers team that had 17 threes in Game 1. Here's another difference maker, MF. You talk about the third quarter where Boston outscored Philly. Actually, it was 35-16, actually. You transposed it. You said 36-15. It was 35-16 Boston. But another big difference, the Sixers had 17 threes in that one. They only had 6 tonight. 6 out of 30. That was big. That was another big difference in favor of the Celtics. And Boston led by as many as 36. That's huge, man. Tobias Harris, leading Philly with 16, Embiid with 15, had 3 rebounds and 5 blocks in his first game back from a sprained right knee that caused him to miss the final game of the Sixers' first round sweep of Brooklyn. Also sat out game 1 on Monday night. His return came a day after being voted the Kia MVP for the first time. Cleared to play by doctors and training staff following a pregame on-court workout. That was after he did some light work during the Sixers' morning shoot-around. But Jason Tatum, man, I mean, he picked up 3 fouls in the first half, called for his 4th at the 7:34 mark of the 3rd when he knocked James Harden to the floor while trying to fight through a screen. Forced him to play a little less aggressively and helped Philly cut what had been an 18-point lead down to 73-60 with just over 4 minutes to go in the 3rd. But Tatum's teammates picked up the slack, leading the way as the Celtics closed the quarter on a 19-5 run to get it back up to 92-65 entering the 4th. Embiid started slowly offensively, but with the Sixers struggling to make shots from the outside, he made an almost immediate impact defensively. He blocked an early shot by Marcus Smart, then forced Derek White to adjust another attempt. Embiid had 5 blocks, his first 13 minutes of action, but his conditioning was noticeably lacking as he lumbered into sets at times. He played just shy of 7 minutes in the first quarter before getting his first rest. He returned for the final 105 of the period. Embiid knocked down his first field goal of the night, a jumper over Grant Williams with 21.4 seconds left, before tripping as he pedaled back down the court, quickly rose to his feet, finished the first half with 13, going to 7 of 8 from the free throw line. But Philly shot 1 of 13 from the three-point line in the first half, didn't get their first offensive rebound until the 9:41 mark of the second quarter. And for the Celtics, Tatum, 7 points, marked the first time he was held to single digits in a playoff game since game 2 of the Celtics' 2021 first-round series against Brooklyn when he only had 9. Boston led 57-49 at the half, had just 3 turnovers in the opening 24 minutes. That gets it done, no doubt about it. So, huge win for Bullock and the Celtics. They needed this one. They did not want to go back to Philly. They did not want to head to Philadelphia down 0-2. But this was a big win. It guarantees that we'll go at least 5. And now it's on to Philly, Game 3, Friday night, which we will recap as part of the Cerebral Smack Talk. MF will set up the future content in just a moment. So congrats, Bullock. A big win for you guys. I had a feeling they were going to do it, and sure enough, they did. And boy, howdy, they did it in grand style, as they say, Monsoon. So, yeah. So not much more to say. MF, let's set up the future content, including our big show tomorrow night, as we will have our annual recap of the NFL draft, a very special edition of TXN Sports World tomorrow night.
Yes, indeed. As a matter of fact, it will be that, like you said, Anthony, it is going to be that legendary recap of the NFL draft. We'll start that out at 10:30 Eastern time. And yeah, we're gonna have it's gonna be a great event. So we got that. We're gonna be covering all 32 teams of the NFL, and then Friday at 11 it will be, or actually, is it 11 or is it back to 10 or is it 10:30 if I remember?
10:30 because Rampage starts at 6:30 again.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So then we will be doing that. We're gonna be recapping Rampage, SmackDown Live, and then of course our preview for the Backlash from Puerto Rico. Sunday night will be a special edition of TXN Sports World at not TXN Sports World, of Talking Wrestling TXN. That starts at 10 p.m. as we will be recapping the pay-per-view event, and also we'll have the Celtics chat as well. As it pertains to game number 4. So we got that as well. So we got a lot coming up, guys. So for Anthony Floyo, for Michael Bullock, I'm Michael Fletcher. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. So have a good night, everybody, and so long.
Goodbye.